Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. It is that time. Football's over. The chill is still in the air, and you can smell the rubber burning down the interstate. They're headed from North Carolina, coming south to Daytona Beach. And baby, this week we gonna be racing for points. Okay, we all already raced for bragging rights. Credit to Ryan Priest for winning the clash, but that didn't count. Now it's time to count the points because NASCAR is trying to get the old fan back. Points matter more than they ever have, right? Oh, man. I'm glad that you have decided to come back around for another episode. This should be a fun one. Zip It Up Pod Daytona 500 preview. That's right. We're going to talk about only the Daytona 500 that's coming up this Sunday. And we're going to preview that race. I got a lot that I want to fit into this episode. And I don't think that'll be a problem because this is my favorite race. One of my favorite things to do is talk about NASCAR. So we are in for a good episode. Let's go ahead and start, though, with a drink real quick. I do have another, I think it's Coors Light. My wife gave this to me in the Kozy. Yeah, it's Coors Light. They were warm last week, so I hope they're a little bit colder today. Maybe that fridge had time to work on it all week. But I already cracked it open. I'm ready. I'm ready to get the season started. So that's exactly what we're going to raise this drink to. Whatever you have near you, go ahead and raise your drink. And let's cheers to the 2026 NASCAR season. Man, I can't wait to get this thing underway. You know, it's season finished in November. So it's been about close to 3 months since the season's been over. Kyle Larson trying to come back and defend his championship. But also this week, William Byron is trying to come back to Daytona and win his third Daytona 500 in a row. So, I mean, the vibes are high. We're at an all-time high if you're with the Hendrick Motorsports right now. We get a new season. We get to kick it off right here. I think it's like 39 or 40 weeks of racing. Only 1 or 2 weeks in there, we take a break. This is going to be excellent, and I can't wait to get it started. So that's exactly what we raise our drinks to tonight. Cheers to NASCAR fans. NASCAR, let's get this thing rolling. Yeah, colder than last week, so I'll take it. We're off to a good start, and we're off and running. Okay, I feel like I didn't lay out the episode very good, so I'm going to kind of be all over the place probably. But for some reason, I wanted to start you off with the Cup schedule for this weekend. It's a loaded weekend. And so it actually already started tonight. I'm recording this on Tuesday night. I probably won't release the episode till Thursday morning. So we're going to be well within our Daytona 500 weekend by the time you get around to listening to this. But earlier this evening in Daytona, they did have the Hauler Showcase, and that kind of kicked things off. They used to call it Speed Weeks. Now it's just a Speed half week pretty much. But Tuesday, Hauler Showcase already happened. The haulers are parked in the track. So tomorrow, Wednesday, and they will practice early in the morning, 10 a.m. Cars are going to hit the track. I think it's just one practice session because they will qualify tomorrow evening at 8:15. Now, we will talk about the qualifying process in just a moment, but this is a big qualifying session to tune in for because the front row will be set. So, and then we'll also know which drivers are driving in which duels the following night. So speaking of Thursday, I don't believe there's going to be any on-track activity during the day. Maybe there is, but they will for sure be racing in the duels that evening. So 2 qualifying races. Those will happen at 7 o'clock and then 8:45. And then Friday, there's one practice session for the Cup Series that will be at 5:35, kind of right before the truck race. And then Saturday, another practice session. This will be the last tune-up for the Cup Series. They will practice at 3 o'clock, and that feels like it's right between O'Reilly and ARCA. Excuse me. Really, they're just going to fit all that on-track activity in whenever they can. But then Sunday will be the Great American Race at 2:30, and we're hoping it's going to be Sunday. There is rain in the forecast, and obviously it's still a ways out. That's 5 days from now, so a lot can change, but it is Florida. Do not be surprised if we get delayed at all. The start could be in jeopardy. The middle could be in jeopardy. The ending could be in jeopardy. What we want as fans is to hopefully somehow see all 500 miles be run and then determine a winner. We do not want to finish a Daytona 500 early. So, hopefully things work out weather-wise, but that is your entire weekend schedule for the Cup Series. I didn't include O'Reilly Trucks and ARCA in there. They're obviously gonna be on the track quite a bit this week as well. So whenever Cups are not running, those other series are gonna be on the track, but it's just a full week, and, if you are a NASCAR fan, this is the place to be. You gotta get down to Daytona Beach. So, I mentioned it is my favorite race. I've been coming to Daytona 500 for years, kind of decades at this point. But if you haven't ever been able to attend the Daytona 500, let me tell you what you're going to be missing. Okay. And then when you hear what you're going to be missing, you're going to be like, "Ah, man, I better tune in and watch that on TV." And you should. The Daytona 500 special, it is, people call it the Super Bowl of NASCAR, and we start our season with our biggest event. It is probably the biggest race in the world. We have the Daytona 500, and then you have the Indianapolis 500 for IndyCar. To me, those are the two biggest races in the world every year. But this one has got to take the cake, especially when it comes to the pageantry of the race. My favorite part is everything that leads up to the race. Not only starting tonight with the Hauler Showcase, because you don't get that at every track or every race, but just going throughout the week, seeing all the teams really fight for every bit of speed that they can get to put themselves in a good position to qualify well. And then that turns into there's qualifying races, and there's teams that are going to make the field. There's teams that are going to miss making the race. And everyone's just on pins and needles all weekend long. And then there's nothing like you have that lineup set late Thursday night. Teams will practice on Friday and Saturday. Drivers will be around town doing meet and greets on Friday and Saturday, but there's nothing like waking up Sunday morning of the Daytona 500, and there's just an electricity in the air like no other. There's just such a buzz. The season is about to get underway, and we're about to have our biggest event of the season just right off the bat, and it's special. It's a feeling that I've tried to describe many times before, and I can't. So you just have to experience it to know exactly what I'm talking about. But when I speak of the pageantry leading up to the race, I'm talking about like when you go to the track and when you watch on TV, you're going to see all kinds of stars up and down pit road before the race. And I'm talking about hours before the race, probably 12:30, 1 o'clock when we go live on television. You will see stars that you didn't even know were interested in NASCAR. They'll be on pit road talking to drivers, talking to teams, talking to sponsors. Really cool to be down there in the middle of it all and trying to get pictures with these celebrities that will be around the track. And that's just the start of it, though. So, um, our grand marshal is going to be Nate Bargatze. He is a comedian that I think many people have heard of at this point. He's become pretty famous. And he's kind of famous for not only being funny, but also being clean. So family friendly, kind of fun. Not that I'm recommending your children go listen to his stand up, but my wife really likes Nate Bargatze. And so I know she's looking forward to seeing him as our grand marshal this week. We also have Kurt Russell is the honorary pace car driver. Dude, all I know is he's an actor. Now I recognize his face, but I'm just not good with certain actors, and this is one of them. So cool. Kurt Russell's going to be there driving a pace car, apparently. Miranda Lambert will be doing the pre-race concert. I believe last year was Pitbull, and he was, I think, making up the one from the year before that got rained out. So we finally get a country act back at center stage before the Daytona 500. Miranda Lambert will be tearing down. And then you also have the Thunderbirds flying over. And yes, the big moment is during the national anthem. But what's really cool is if you're in town all weekend, the Thunderbirds are flying around all weekend. They're doing rehearsals. I saw today, Tuesday, that they finally landed in Daytona. So they're going to be there all week. They'll probably have some drivers go out and get up in the sky with them. And when they do their rehearsals, it'll be probably Friday and Saturday morning, early morning, just when you're trying to get a cup of coffee and a donut. And then all of a sudden, like you just hear a jet zooming by you. It's really cool, but of course, that moment with the national anthem, all eyes on the ball field of Daytona International Speedway, and Thunderbirds come flying over. Just incredible feel in it. That's the moment where you're like, "Oh my gosh, this is it! Like this is what NASCAR is about. It's about fast things. It's about freedom, and it's about beer." So that's incredible. Also, we do have one of the biggest fields that we've had in a while. I don't know the exact count on the entry list of cars trying to make the race, but this will be the fullest field that we have all season long. So it's not like, we have 40, 40 or 41 cars will make this race. We're not going to have that many make every race this year. Maybe one or two other races will be matched with about 40 cars. But there are teams that are trying to make this race, and they're going to get heartbroken Thursday night when they don't race their way in. So it just means a lot. It means so much more to everybody that does make the race. It's like a feeling of gratitude for the small teams that are trying to get in there. And like I said, it's just an electric feeling. If you're a NASCAR fan, you'll get that through the TV. But if you're just a casual, just an everyday American and a sports fan, not even American, dude, I'm talking like cultures come out for this race. We're going to have an international audience again. It's the biggest race in the world. And it's just a feeling of, man, these guys are about to hammer down at almost 200 miles per hour, put their lives on the line, and go out and try to win the Harley J. Earl Trophy. I think I said that right. A little tongue twister. I need to move on. That's what I need to do. But anyway, I hope you are able to make it this week. And if not, tune in on TV. You're going to enjoy yourself for sure. For the casuals, this is the one race that they'll tune into. And we hope to hook them to where they want to return next week and watch more. But a lot of times that doesn't happen. That just fades away. But the Daytona 500 is one that everyone's going to tune in for. So let me tell you about this process to race. Obviously, you got to qualify to make the show. Now, there are 36 charters. Those 36 cars are going to be locked into the race. Right now, as we sit here, we know the 36 that will be locked in. There will be 4 other open spots. And those are split probably amongst 10 guys or so. I had the list earlier. I should have wrote it down, but there's going to be 4 open spots. And then there's one champion provisional, which we already know Jimmy Johnson will have that spot. So we're looking at there's going to be 41 drivers this week. We know 37 of them. It's the 4 open spots that we need to determine over the next couple nights. So we'll begin on Wednesday. Everyone will qualify. All 45 or 6, however many drivers there are trying to make the field, everyone will do single car qualifying lap. That's at 8:15 on FS1. Now, the top 2 open cars from that qualifying session will be locked in immediately. Okay. So I'm hoping that Justin Allgaier and Casey Mears will be those top 2 guys. I feel pretty good about Allgaier. I don't know about Mears. The reason I want Mears in there, he's a former Hendrick driver, so I would like to see him make the show without having too much stress or drama on Thursday night. But only 2 of those 4 open spots get locked up on Wednesday after qualifying. It's the 2 fastest, no matter where you land. However, Thursday is the duel, so we got 2 qualifying races, the whole field, okay? Now, also, let me go back real quick to qualifying. The front row will also be locked in, okay? So the pole sitter and then outside row will be locked up as well on Wednesday, no matter who that is. Okay, so then Thursday for the duels, the field will be split in half. The inside row will race in duel number 1. The outside row will race in duel number 2. And those will be just to determine the starting lineup for the Daytona 500 for all the drivers. But don't forget, there will still be 2 open spots available once those duels are raced. Okay, so we will take 1 open driver, the highest open finisher in duel number 1, and we'll take the highest finisher for the open drivers in duel number 2, and then they will be locked in finally. So after the duels, there will be some heartbroken teams and drivers probably fleeing the area and getting out of town. Everyone else will stick around and hopefully fine tune their cars for the big show on Sunday. But that's how qualifying happens. Okay. If you have a great enough week and you survive to the end and you win the race, it's a big parade, and it's like winning a championship. The winner usually gets a ring for this one. Usually you end up doing media week. If the driver wins, he's going to end up going on a tour all week long. Might set him back for week 2 a little bit, to be honest with you, but it's part of what happens when you win this big race. One of the perks, one of the benefits, if that's how you want to look at it. So let's go ahead and get into a little bit of a preview here. Hendrick Motorsports, that's our team. Let me tell you how they have done in the Daytona 500. So we have had 6 different drivers win a combined 10 Daytona 500s for us. William Byron added to that number last year. So 10 Daytona 500s, by the way, that's the most out of all teams, all time. So that belongs in the HMS record books for right now, and I don't see that ever going a different direction. Okay. We have also led at least one lap in the last 24 Daytona 500s. Quite a streak. Let's keep it up this week. We've also earned the pole 15 times, which is more than every other organization out there. Not combined, but more than all of them. And then right now, we currently, our 4 Cup drivers have all earned at least one pole. So that's a pretty neat stat. We all have speed. We've proven to be very fast here. And also, Alex Bowman, he sat on the front row a consecutive 6 Daytona 500s. Now, that streak has come and gone. It's been over. He didn't make the front row last year, and I don't even think he made it the year before that. But it was a quite impressive run that Alex Bowman went on when he was making the front row 6 consecutive years. So just goes to show that our organization has the speed, but we're also starting to put it or turn it around and translate it through the entire weekend. A couple years ago, we couldn't say that. But with Willie B winning the last couple Daytona 500s, now we can. Like I said, this is a big race. It's hard to win. There's a lot of legendary, great drivers that win this race, but there's also a lot of guys that don't ever win any other race that can come sneak through and find a checkered flag here. So what I want to do next is give you a list of names of great NASCAR drivers that have never won this race. And this is quite the list, okay? We'll start with Terry Labonte. He tried 32 different times to win this race. His best finish was second, and he finished second on 3 different occasions. Mark Martin, 29 tries. His best finish was second. Martin Truex Jr., he had, I think, 20 or 21 different attempts. His best finish was second by like an inch. Kyle Busch, current driver, has tried 20 times to win this race. His best finish is second. This will be attempt number 21. Maybe this is it. And this is what I love about the Daytona 500. It's the storylines that come with it. You know, if Kyle Busch doesn't go win Sonoma 20 times in a row, no one cares. But it's the Daytona 500. It's the one that they all want. And this guy is a 2-time champion, over 60 wins in his career, Hall of Famer, but doesn't have the Daytona 500. So if he were to win this week, that's a big story. And those are the kinds of things I like. I don't care for Kyle Busch much, but to see that story happen would be really neat. Tony Stewart, another driver that never won a Daytona 500, and he has won race after race at Daytona. This guy was kind of like Dale Earnhardt Sr. a little bit. You know, Sr. went and won everything he raced at Daytona, except for the 500 until late in his career when he did finally break through and get, I think it was 98 or 99 when he finally won. And that's the scene of everyone on pit road just lined up, giving him a high five, shaking his hand. It's kind of how Tony Stewart was, man. He won everything here. Didn't matter what series or car he was in. he could find victory lane at Daytona International, but he could never get it done in the 500. Kind of heartbreaking, but he tried 17 times. His best finish was also second. Brad Keselowski, very good at these super speedway races. And of course, the Daytona 500 is one that he still doesn't have. 16 tries for him. His best finish is third. And then we have Kyle Larson. I'm getting into the current drivers, as you can see. Kyle Larson, he's already been in this race 12 different times. This will be number 13. And he still doesn't have a win. I believe his best finish is seventh. And of course, Chase Elliott. He's now had 10 different Daytona 500s, and he's not won the race yet. His best finish was second, and I believe that was to Michael McDowell. And I'm not going to talk any more about that bullcrap finish. So anyway, this race has become a big manufacturer battle. So when you get into the race, you're going to know. I mean, it's a long race, okay? And with weather being kind of up in the air on Sunday, a lot of these crew chiefs and these teams, these strategists are going to want these guys to ride around single file, and they will. You just got to log laps during this race. But when it comes down to it, the strategy, Ford is usually the strongest when it comes to these super speedway races. However, I will say we're in the Chevy camp, and we do have more allies than Ford and Toyota. So we have that going for us. We got like the largest manufacturer, but Ford's probably got the strongest manufacturer. However, it's not to say Toyota's out of it, though. I mean, all they have to do is survive, and as long as you're there at the end, you got a chance to win this thing. But let's get into some of our Hendrick Motorsports drivers and their stats at Daytona. So I'm going to go through each of our current drivers in the Cup Series, and I'm going to give you their Daytona stats. This includes Daytona 500s and Coke Zero 400s. Okay, so both night and day races, winter and summer races. So combined, Kyle Larson has 23 starts at Daytona, and in those 23 starts, he's got one pole, no wins, no top fives yet. He does have 6 top 10s. He's led 39 laps, and his average finish is 21. He is improving over the past few years. We've seen him get into the Hendrick equipment, and he is putting better races together on the super speedways. So hopefully that trend continues this week. Next, we got Chase Elliott, who has 20 starts at Daytona. That includes 3 poles, no win. Well, yeah, no wins yet. He won the Daytona road course, but he did not win the oval yet. So 3 top 5s and 6 top 10s. He's led 174 laps, which is the most of our Hendrick drivers, and his average finish is 20.5. One of the big talking points this week for Chase will be, I mean, the past 2 years, he's had an incredible start to his season, just showing consistency by having top 20 finishes well over halfway through the year. That can obviously be over with here in Daytona if he gets caught up in a wreck and has some trouble. So, yeah, we want him to win, but that top 20 streak doesn't happen unless he at least survives. And the only way you win is if you survive. So we hope to see that top 20 streak for Chase continue, but we also would like to see him win this race. Could be wrong, but this might be his 9th attempt in the number 9 car. I need to double check that. It could be his 10th attempt in it. But, he didn't drive the number 9 car in all of his Daytona 500s. I know he was in the 25 one year, and I know he was at least in the 24 once, maybe twice, before he finally switched numbers. So that would be interesting. That's one of those little stories, those little nuggets that eventually they come together. So if it's not this year, then maybe it's next year that Chase finally gets to victory lane at the big race. All right, so next we got William Byron. He's got 16 starts at Daytona. He's very good here, though. He's got 1 pole, 3 wins, 4 top 5s, 5 top 10s. He's led 115 laps. His average finish is 5. And like I said, he's looking to become the first driver to win 3 Daytona 500s in a row. In fact, even if William Byron doesn't win this race, obviously he wouldn't get that record. But if another Hendrick Motorsports driver can win the race, Hendrick Motorsports would become the first team to win 3 Daytona 500s in a row. So a lot on the line. All 4 of our drivers can keep that streak up, but obviously we want to see William do it himself. And then last we have Alex Bowman, who surprisingly might have some of the better stats at Daytona within our camp. But he's got 19 starts, and that includes 3 poles, no wins, 2 top 5s, 7 top 10s. He's led 53 laps, and his average finish is 15.8, which is the best amongst all of our Hendrick drivers. So he's got best average finish, more top 10s than any of them, and more poles than any of them. So not a bad track for the 48 car, even when Jimmy was driving it, and even now that Alex is driving it. All right. So let's go ahead and look at the odds in this year's field. I use the Hard Rock betting app when I look at the odds. And so right off the top, the best odds this week belong to 3 drivers, all from the same team. Penske Racing has the 3 favorites for this race. We got Logano, Blaney, and Cindric are all plus 1,000 to win. Let's get into the Hendrick Motorsports odds, okay? Right behind them, we finally have William Byron, okay? He's got the 4th best odds in the field at plus 1,200. Then, just a little bit more increased odds is Chase Elliott at plus 1,400. He's actually tied for 5th best odds with Denny Hamlin. And then, right after him, we got Kyle Larson, who is plus 1,600, and he's tied for 7th best odds in the field. And then way down there, we got the guy that I was just kind of glazing, Alex Bowman. He's plus 2,500 to win, which is tied for 16th best odds this week in Daytona. Now, I didn't want to stop there, okay? I gave you the favorites for the race. I gave you the Hendrick odds. Now, let me give you some notable odds that I think are worth mentioning, just in case you want to gamble. By the way, I'm not going to say this every episode, but I'll say it since it's the first episode of the season. What you do with your money is totally up to you. I will make predictions here on the pod. I'm not telling you that that's what's going to happen. That's what I'm hoping will happen. But if you decide to spend your money on betting, that is all you. Have fun with it. Enjoy it, but gamble responsibly, okay? It's actually, I spent a couple bucks on the Super Bowl. I lost everything that I put in. But before that, I think it'd been like the last race of last season was the last thing that I bet on. So not a big better, but it's really fun to get an idea of what is expected each week and how each race might just go, because the odds makers do know they do know ball, they do know wheel. So with that being said, Connor Zilisch, I think this is his first Daytona 500, unless he raced in it last year. I don't remember that though. He's plus 2,000, which I thought was a little bit more favorable for him anyway, not for the gamblers. But I just thought he would probably be 25 to 3,000. But 2,000 plus 2,000, that's the same as Kyle Busch. Okay, they both are plus 2,000 this week. Ricky Stenhouse, former Daytona 500 champion, he's plus 2,500. Chase Briscoe, who was just racing for a championship in November and coming off of a great season last year, won several races, and he won big races too. He was the pole sitter for last year's Daytona 500. He's plus 3,000 this week, which that is something that I'll be taking a look at when it comes to my wallet. Okay, Michael McDowell, he's plus 4,000. Again, he's another former Daytona 500 champion, along with Austin Dillon, former Daytona 500 champion, is also plus 4,000. Any of these guys can win this race, and even when they do, they still don't get the proper respect when they come back. Next, Justin Allgaier. He's plus 5,000. The big thing for Allgaier is he has to make the race. I don't know if we want to put money on him yet until we know he's locked in. But once he gets locked in, those odds will decrease quite a bit. So he drives for a good team. He's good at these types of tracks. So if you feel good about him getting into the show, now would be the time to put the money on him, because he's plus 5,000. That's going to be hard to get later in the weekend. as the race gets closer, you'll notice that the odds tend to they sway back and forth. I mean, they'll favor certain drivers. So he's one of them that right now is the best price you're going to get on him. But with that being said, let's go ahead and make our predictions for the Great American Race. I'm going to give you 3 winners every week this season. When you tune into an episode and we preview the upcoming race, I'm going to give 3 winning predictions. And I'm probably going to miss 90% of them. But here goes nothing, okay? I'm going to give you a Hendrick winner, a non-Hendrick winner, and then also a long shot. So we'll start with our Hendrick winner. As much as I want to go Chase, I'm not gonna, okay? As much as I was glazing over Bowman a few minutes ago, I'm not going to pick him either. And as much as I believe Larson's time is coming, especially for this race, because it's the last crown jewel he's missing, I'm not going to pick him this year either. I got to go with William Byron, making history and becoming the first driver to ever win 3 in a row. Look, last year, he didn't deserve it. He didn't go out there and earn that race. Okay, it kind of fell into his lap on that last lap. And so the fact that that happened gives him a chance to come in here and win a 3rd. Remember a couple years ago, the Chiefs were playing the Eagles in the Super Bowl, and the Chiefs were trying to become the first NFL team to win 3 Super Bowls in a row. That didn't happen. Okay. Now, by the way, the Green Bay Packers were the first to win 3 world championships in a row. Go Pack, go. But no one's ever won 3 Super Bowls in a row, and no driver has ever won 3 Daytona 500s in a row until this week. And it would be special. I'm pretty sure I would cry my eyes out. And we will celebrate. We'll celebrate big time with Willie B. If any of our drivers win, by the way, I do have a surprise, okay? Something I didn't do last year, I'm going to start doing this season on the podcast, the audio podcast, okay? If you watch the playback on YouTube, you won't get the surprise, but you have to listen to our audio podcast, and you will hear the surprise. And so I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully it goes over well with the fans and with the listeners, but it's only going to be episodes that we had just won the race for. So next week, I hope to be debuting that surprise, whatever you want to call it. I got something up my sleeve, and I'm ready to get it out there to you. So we're going to stick with Byron as our Hendrick winner, okay? Our non-Hendrick winner, look, I want to go off the wall a little bit. Briscoe could be in the conversation, but Austin Cindric is one of the best super speedway drivers. If he doesn't win this race, he's at least going to go out and lead a bunch of laps. He's just always at the front of these races, and there's something to be said for that. So this is a former Daytona 500 champ, I'm pretty sure. Again, I should probably write that down next time. Feels like he did win a few years ago. Yeah, he won in the 2 car. As soon as he took over, I think, when Brad left the 2, Cindric hopped in and won at 500s, of course. That's how it works, by the way. So this guy can go out and win it again. Would not surprise me at all. Anyone who knows Wheel would not be surprised by that. In my long shot, though, I'm going to go with a guy that has plus 6,000 odds. And I think it's kind of because last year he kind of proved to me that he could hang and he can get a good finish at the super speedway. So I'm going to go with someone in the Toyota camp, and we'll go John Hunter Nemechek. Just feels like if he can hang around, make it to the end, everybody has a chance. But Nemechek, he's got that name. He's got a NASCAR name, and would make for a pretty cool story because, I mean, this guy, he just doesn't win races at the Cup Series level. So it would just be cool. It would be one of those big, I want to say it'd be a popular win, but obviously there's many other storylines that we would put way above him winning. I'm just jotting his name down because I'm picking him as a long shot. And that means most likely not going to happen. So anyway, what I also did real quick is I created a little weekend parlay. I wanted to pick winners for all 3 races this week and make the bet on Hard Rock, but they only have Cup Series and O'Reilly. For whatever reason, they don't have the Truck Series on the app right now to bet on. So I can only do a 2-bet parlay, picking one Cup winner, one O'Reilly winner. And so what I did is I'm going with our guys. Personal favorite driver, Chase Elliott, with his plus 1,400 odds if he wins on Sunday. And then if our guy Corey Day wins on Saturday in the O'Reilly series, he's at plus 1,600 odds, which is funny. He's got the same odds to win his race on Saturday that Larson has to win his race on Sunday. Okay. But I didn't do Larson. I did Elliott and Day. And if they both win their races, I only put $2 down, but it would turn into $510. So go have fun with it. Because to be honest, yeah, it doesn't sound likely, but it is a super speedway. It is Daytona, and anything can happen. So we're going to go with that this week. All right. Real quick, we're going to start wrapping up. I did want to mention, since I brought up Corey Day in the O'Reilly series, we'll be watching him on Saturday. If you want to tune into the truck race on Friday, I think this is going to be a fun race to watch. There are some legendary names that will be racing. We just found out today that Cletus McFarland passed his test session. I think he went to Rockingham and had to pass a test in order to be in the Daytona race. And so it's official. He will be racing on Friday night in Daytona, but also Tony Stewart, one of those guys that can win Daytona in a lawnmower. He's going to be there. And then Travis Pastrana, he can drive anything with wheels. He'll be in the race on Friday. I think that's going to be a fun race to watch. And let me go ahead and say, if Cletus Garrett, if he wins on Friday night, I think that will be the biggest win for NASCAR all season long, by the way. But like for this weekend, even if William Byron were to win his third in a row, he and Cletus win on Friday night. Did I just say that right? If William wins his third in a row, I still think Cletus winning on Friday night would be a lot bigger. Just in lieu of what has happened over this offseason with the Biff and his family, Cletus has it on his car. He's got it on his heart, and he's coming down here to Daytona, not just to race for them. I think he's coming down here to win this race for the Biff. And that would be a special moment that would be the moment I think NASCAR needs this year. Okay. We talk about tragedies that have happened with the sport in the past, like when Senior passed at Daytona. The next time the Cup Series came back, Junior won the race, and that was a moment of healing for NASCAR. That's what the fans needed, and that's what the drivers and the teams needed at the time too. And I think Friday, if Cletus can win that race at Daytona, I think that's going to be just as healing as we could ever imagine. Something that this entire community kind of needs right now, and we're going to be pulling hard for. So, man, go rip it like a bald eagle, man. Bring home that checker flag, dude. Big Cletus fan this week. So what do you have to do to win this race? And I'm talking about any of the races at Daytona. You got to survive. You got to stick together in big moments, okay? You got to make friends out there. You got to keep your number of enemies very low. Go race with the Chevys, okay? Go race with your buddies, the guys that won't turn their back on you until the very end. That's why I'm saying you got to survive, but you got to stick together too. You cannot leave each other out to dry. Hendrick Motorsports, very strong team. Penske, very strong team. Gibbs, okay? The Toyotas will work together just because there's so few of them. You have got to work with one another to make it to the end of this race and be successful. You got to execute on pit road, okay? There's going to be moments in this race where it's boring. Everyone's riding the top, and you're going to come down pit road probably with your manufacturer when you're called upon, and you're going to try to all pit together. But if you want to leave pit road with the rest of your group, you have got to execute on pit road. And first race of the year, these pit crew members are making their season debuts as well. So if they're not up to speed at this point, it's going to be exposed on Sunday. So hopefully execution is there from a pit road standpoint. And then I think the manufacturer you got to beat to win this race is Ford. Ford does really well of working together. They have strength when it comes to pushing each other in the draft, and they're very aggressive. Okay. They make moves when a lot of other drivers will not. And so I just think to win this race, you got to go beat those guys in the blue ovals. So anyway, if you are going to the track and you're going to be in the Daytona area, I want to share a few of my recommendations for you since I'm very familiar with Central Florida. I'm over in Daytona all the time. It's one of my favorite places to go. It is probably my favorite beach to visit. So, look, I'm going to give you some locations of places to visit, both beachside and trackside, because the track's probably, what, 3 or 4 miles inland, off the coast. So you can't like go park at the beach and enjoy the track all in one. You have to travel back and forth. So, beginning with if you are beachside for the week, some places you need to go visit: Ant Catfishes. I love their Sunday brunch, but it would not be a good week to do the Sunday brunch. However, get in there for dinner any chance you get. Lunch too, okay, every day this week. Ant Catfishes is wonderful. You got Racing's North Turn. That's a really cool location for a restaurant. It's a grill and bar kind of thing, and they're right there on the sand. In fact, they are at the location of back in the, I think, 40s and 50s or whatever it was, when they raced, down A1A, they made the turn and raced the sands of the beach. That's where Racing's North Turn is located right now. You got Boondocks out in Port Orange. Very good little restaurant that went through some renovations. Great staff there, by the way. When you sit down at Boondocks, you don't just have one waiter or waitress. It's their whole team. Just comes by and checks on you constantly. Really good people, make you feel like you're at home and like you belong there. I'm really enjoy the drinks are kind of cheap too, by the way. I think $6 cocktails is it's wonderful. You got Krabby Joe's out there on the pier. That's a fun spot to be sitting over the water while eating your meal. Why did I say meal like that? You got the Oyster Pub. Okay. Big fan of the Oyster Pub. They hosted us in August when we did our little playoff preview live from their restaurant. And this is a place that NASCAR personnel has visited for several years. So if you hear or see any NASCAR people out and about, there's a good chance they'll be over at the Oyster Pub. And it's very family friendly as well. Certain hours. Don't go super late at night. If you go late at night, you are in the hood of Daytona. I'll put it that way. And then one more restaurant to add to the beachside list is Ocean Deck. I just discovered this place in the last year, actually. Went over and got a bucket of one of their rum drinks. And boy, have I gone back a few times to visit and have some more of those rum drinks, rum buckets. Ocean Deck's wonderful. They got a Rasta pasta sauce that is to die for. So go enjoy it. They got Touch Tunes. I'm a Touch Tunes fan, by the way. So me and Dale Jr. have that in common. Anyway, trackside. Okay. If you're trying to eat over near the track, I would recommend Four Rivers. That's a Central Florida thing that has expanded over to Daytona. And they are, Blaney did a appearance from there a few years ago. We went and saw Ryan Blaney, and it's good barbecue. Okay. My favorite barbecue, by the way, Four Rivers. Okay. Right across from the track, walking distance. Same with Hooters is walking distance. Everyone knows what Hooters is. I don't have to explain that one. I'll throw Twin Peaks in there. Not walking distance from the track, but a little bit down the road. Great pre-race vibes, and it's like a 5-minute drive to the track, though. And, of course, next to Twin Peaks is Buc-ee's. You have to stop at Buc-ee's. By the way, stop at Buc-ee's on your way in. Let that be where you go get your beer and your ice and get some sliders, get some beef jerky, get some nuggies, and pack them in your cooler and take them to the track with you. And then, after the race, go join the other 5,000 people that want Buc-ee's on their way home that night, too. It's quite a scene after the race, but the food is fresh. You might have to wait a couple minutes for it, but it is fresh because everybody and their mother wants to get over there and get a sandwich. But cannot be Buc-ee's. Late night Buc-ee's is the way to go, especially when you got that hour drive home to Orlando. Also, right next to the track, you got Pan Express if you're just wanting a quick meal. Can't go wrong with that. That's what Chase Briscoe did during the rain delay a few years ago. Probably will be doing it again this year. And then Waffle House. Waffle House right down the street from the track, walking distance from turn 1. And this is usually where the champion goes and celebrates with his team afterwards. So you might see the trophy end up at the Waffle House if you're there late enough on Sunday night. But enjoy any and all of that. There's places that I didn't mention. I'm just throwing out my favorites. Probably listed a dozen for you. So you got plenty of opportunities to go enjoy yourself in Daytona this weekend. However, Saturday night, we have a new event kicking off the season. This is a Daytona 500 pre-party, and this is the Full Throttle Festival. It's going to be hosted by Bert Kreischer, comedian. And this will be over at the Ocean Center, which is beachside. So Bert Kreischer is going to do some stand-up, I'm pretty sure. Leonard Skinner will perform. Diplo is going to be there performing, and Ernest will be there performing. Probably some other acts as well. But it looks like a good time is about to be had at the Ocean Center the night before the Great American Race and really getting things kicked off. If it goes over well, I'm pretty sure that event will return and probably will become an annual thing. But looking forward to hearing how that goes. I don't think I'll be there, but just love everything about this weekend and cannot wait to get the season underway. It's going to be a long season. Hope you're ready for it because we're in for one. But with all the rule changes and now we're trying to come out here and win a third Daytona 500 in a row. We're trying to win another championship. I think 2026 has a lot of great things in store and hope it works out in our favor. Thank you again for joining. That's our Daytona 500 preview. Take it in, okay? Be patient. It's not going to be fun waiting out the rain, watching them dry the track, and then coming back and starting to drizzle again. It's a carousel. It's a cycle. It happens all the time. It's just what happens in Florida. But for the moments that we are racing, man, enjoy it. Soak it in. And have yourselves a good, safe weekend. We'll return next week, and we will talk about what happened at Daytona as well as give you a preview to the Atlanta race the following week. All right, y'all be good.